The other day we uploaded a video about the fight that happened in the FreshandFit podcast, and a lot of people thought that we took the fight out of context, and some people thought we hadn't watched the podcast. Now I have seen the full podcast. I know you haven't seen the whole thing yet. I've watched it from start to finish. I know what they spoke about. I know one of the girls on there is going out of some athlete. He bought a $10,000 necklace. The Israeli girl was very contentious. They were talking about dating, about single parent households. You had the Woe Vicky girls in there with the irritating voices. One girl walked off, which we're going to get to in a little bit. You know, Chris kept playing sounds over one girl who was speaking, which was actually quite funny. And then obviously the fight broke out. I watched the podcast from start to finish. If I bring up Fresh and Fit, it's because I've seen the episode. I am not going to watch a clip out of context and then react to it. I reacted to it because the clip on its own was fine to react to it outside of the podcast. Now, what I will say, because some people in the comment section think that we didn't watch it, to Myron's credit, in the podcast, he was much more calm in this episode, and he wasn't the problem in this episode. He did one thing that I thought was a bit funny, which we'll react to a little bit later on. My biggest problem outside of the girls, which I'll speak about in a second, was Fresh. Fresh was making unnecessary jabs at the girls, and he made one comment at a girl who had, I think this I don't know if she's Hispanic or black, but she had cut her wrists, and so she'd self-harmed. And they were having a conversation, and yes, the girls, as usual on this podcast, make stupid points. The girls just do make stupid points. The reason I don't even bother referencing them anymore is because 99% of the time, the guests they have on here are thick. The girls are just stupid. Their talking points are weak. Myron even says things that I've seen male guests push back on, and they've had a good back and forth. The girls never push back. The girls generally act like entitled donuts. There's not really much positive that I can say about them. There's not really much to reference. And sometimes we do reference it, like that girl that was saying that she could beat up the 6'10" guy, or the guy that weighed 300 pounds. Remember the little midget? Mm-hmm. A lot of people think that, like, I guess they haven't seen like all of our videos. We've reacted to Fresh and Fit before, and Myron does make good points. And in this podcast, there wasn't anything outside of one thing that he said that I would have pushed back on. He was right, and the Israeli girl was unnecessarily arguing with him, being contentious, and he was talking in generalities, and she was talking from a personal point of view, and she wasn't understanding where he was coming from. So I'll give Myron credit for remaining calm, although I don't know if I should give him too much credit, because that is kind of his job. He should
be able to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's spoken to over 2,000 girls, or however many it was. This podcast is built off of stupid women. Let's just call it what it is. The girls that go on here tend to be stupid. They can't argue with Myron at all. Even if Myron is wrong or saying something that you can easily poke holes at, they can't argue back. I don't bother really talking about the girls because it's the same shit every podcast. Myron does end up schooling them. There's no real debate to be had. I guess really the point of the podcast is just to expose how stupid some people are, which is fine. In the podcast, since people want us to reference it, because they think we didn't watch it, there's a point in the podcast where they're having a conversation and the girls again are making dumb points, and Fresh turns around to the girl, this girl sitting right here, and says to her something along the lines of, you know, that makes sense, because she's cut her wrists, right? Basically saying that you're not sane of mind, your mental health is probably not in check, that's why you're making such dumb points. Now, she was making dumb points, and the points that she was making on the topic were completely irrelevant, not conducive to what Myron was talking about at all. Do I think that he should have made a comment about her slitting her wrist to get his point across? No, obviously not. There was no need for that, and I can understand why she would want to get up and walk away. What Myron did following that, and Fresh, is they kind of mocked her, and they said, see, this is why women are emotional, this is this, that, and the other. Now, if I slit my wrist and I was on Myron's podcast, I'm not going to get up and walk away, but I can understand why a woman in front of a podcast of millions of people where a guy has unnecessarily pointed out that she cuts her wrist, or she has cut her wrist in the past, will get up and leave. It's understandable to see why someone would do that. The podcast progressed. Myron was talking in generalities, the dynamics between men and women, and what men and women look for in a relationship. The Israeli girl, this one here, the one that got punched up by Icy, or got into the fight of Icy, she was just talking a whole bunch of waffle. The girl sitting next to her was dick riding Myron and Fresh. The girls around the table were generally just talking nonsense. And even with all of that, even with all of the dumb shit that came out of their mouth, because again, every single podcast, the guests on there just say dumb shit. Very rare that I go on there and get something insightful, or an insightful back and forth. It is Myron talking at the guest, and that's it. Even despite all of that, and yes, she did insult Myron just at the close of the podcast. I think she called him a fucking Arab.
Tesla goes, the Jamaican woman is the most feminine yet the smartest in the panel, and that's why she got a high value man. I'll listen to her, especially the lost woman from Israel, where she's going to expire alone. I mean,
hating on Israel. It's all good.
No, he's just saying that he's
not the only one, but it's all good.
No, he said that specifically so that the audience would know that he's referring to you.
Yeah, I know.
That's how they're using.
It's all good.
That's not hating on Israel.
Yeah.
That's just identifying you.
Yeah. Of course, because you're fucking Arab.
What?
What?
She called you a fucking Arab. She's so mature, guys. All right, next.
She felt a little bit pressed. She felt pressed in the whole podcast, but then there were super chats coming in where people were donating money. And her demeanor really changed because she had mentioned, I think at some point, that her father has dementia. Someone made a comment about her father having dementia and that it was actually a good thing because he doesn't have to deal with her, which is... Obviously, I can understand why she would get pressed. She probably shouldn't have exposed too much of her family business on a podcast like this because the comments tend to be ruthless.
Bad mother goes, God bless your father with dementia after dealing with you. This nigga, what the fuck, bro? Come on, man.
That's so funny.
Come on, man. You have anything you want to say back
God
to
bless my father for dealing with dementia with me. God bless you for making that comment, my friend, because karma's a fucking bitch, and that's all I have to say to you.
Okay.
Damn. Oh, them boys coming for you now. Mister. You done.
You're done.
Okay.
In our comments, I saw people saying, oh, we can't take a joke, this, that, and the other. I'm not pressed by what they said, but I can understand why somebody would get upset. And then she insulted Myron. Myron didn't insult her, but obviously they were reading out the super chats. They were laughing. She got upset. Then the fight kicked off. Now, as far as I am concerned, all of that still doesn't justify what happened at the end. Even with the fight kicking off and Icy dealing with the girl, I don't understand why this podcast doesn't have armed security at this point. I mean, someone in the comments said to me that this is the first time something like this has happened. Yeah, it's the first time that two girls have gotten into a full-on punch-up on the podcast, but it ain't the first time there's been an incident. Some girl pulled a gun on the podcast.
That's not holy. Stop playing. That's not holy. That's not holy.
Hey, listen, in the name of God, I'm a big.
That's not holy. That's not holy now.
In the name of God.
Yo, Donda.
This is why they request people to watch the show before coming on here. This is why.
Yo,
What are you doing, Whitney? Oh my God.
What's going on?
Yo,
Lynn said that.
you showing scallywag activities right now.
I don't care.
Let the Holy
You showing
Ghost save
scallywag
her.
activities.
Go
Go handle your business, nigga. Go handle your business. Go handle your business, bitch. Sure, go
Why for me?
Yo, Shawty, you gotta go. You gotta go. Go handle your business. You heard what I said. Go handle your business. You gotta go. Go handle your business. 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 Eat a Snickers. You not yourself. Yo, Shorty. You not yourself right now. Shorty. Eat a Snickers, bro. Yo, Shorty. Eat a Snickers, bro. Eat a Snickers. Go home, Shorty. Eat a Snickers, bro. You not yourself. Go home. You such your life.
I'm itching. I'll help somebody right now.
Yeah. Move to the left.
Okay.
Move to the left. I said move to the left. Yo, nigga, I said move to the left. Now. All right. Chris, you too stupid. What the fuck you doing? Move to the left.
This is the right though.
Everybody get to the fucking left. All right. If bullets come down this way, I ain't getting nobody fucking hurt.
They all had to line up against the wall and the podcast cut off. Girls have gotten very much up in Myron's face. A guy showed up to the podcast challenging Myron.
Yeah.
He's here. Don't do it, bro.
What's up?
Don't do it, man.
You're only a pussy nigga with
Don't do it.
Doing.
Don't do it.
I wish your
don't come in here, bro.
I wish your motherfucker would come to my door.
Don't come. Don't.
I wish a nigga would come to my door.
If you walk in, it's gonna be a problem.
That's right. Record it, Fresh. So now we know.
Yep.
Now we know Myron Gaines a fucking bitch ass nigga.
We're doing a show, bro.
So step the fuck outside, you a pussy ass
right.
nigga.
Come on in.
Who's running your fucking mouth, right?
Come on in, bro.
Of course you want me to come in.
Come on in.
Because you's a fucking pussy snitch.
Okay, exactly.
You a police calling ass pussy ass snitch ass nigga.
Not the first time there's been an incident. Now, I'm not saying that I want something to happen to the Fresh and Fit podcast. I don't want it to come off YouTube. I watch it. I find it entertaining. All of that aside, I wanted to react to this part. This is one of the things I was talking about when I say Myron is a little bit hypocritical in what he says. Now, I will say that men and women are different. The way we deal with relationships is different, and the way we react to things is different. That doesn't change the fact that what you're about to hear is hypocritical, in my opinion. But if you don't think so, you can push back in the comment section and you let me know what you think as well.
Well, I'm talking about like they got married, they had children, and the guy decided to cheat. So now everything falls on the woman because technically it's her kid, right?
I mean, is she going to divorce him for infidelity?
I would.
I think that's a bad idea.
Well, that's your opinion. This is my opinion.
I mean, I grew up with a single mother. Like my dad was in jail my whole life, so
I'm sure your mom is an alpha woman because she had to handle everything on her own.
That's different.
I mean, that doesn't refute my argument that I think that it's not an intelligent. See, here's the thing: you think it's a good idea to divorce the guy, and I'm going to tell you from a factual standpoint why it's not, and it's actually not just my opinion. You're far better off sticking with the guy because single mother households to be exact, are one of the biggest contributors to degeneracy in the United States.
That is true. Single mother households are one of the biggest contributors. A lot of guys that don't have fathers in the house do, not all of them obviously, but there's a large number that do turn to crime. So Myron's not wrong there.
If you look at criminals.
But if you're an alpha woman, then I think your kids will be perfectly fine.
No, they will not, because a woman cannot, you cannot raise children by yourself as a female. And then on top of that, it's very difficult to be the mother and the nurturer as well as the disciplinarian. Women make terrible disciplinarians.
My mother had no choice but to be the alpha female, and I came out perfectly fine. So.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
I think me and my siblings were raised very well by my mother.
Do you see the problem here? Myron's talking in generalities, and he's correct in what he's saying, and they're saying, but my mum. And yeah, I can understand why that is frustrating. You're trying to put across something that has been backed up by data, and someone's just talking about their own situation. I can understand why Myron would get annoyed in that situation. I can understand why the conversation is annoying. So I'm with Myron on that part.
Yeah, but it's still just a discussion though.
It is just a discussion. And as I said, Fresh and Fit's been around for a while now. They generally have low IQ guests on the podcast. So I'm not surprised. And I'm not sure why anybody else would ever be surprised.
In general, single mother households are one of the leading contributors to alcoholics, drug addicts, criminals, convicted felons, etc. All the fucked up shit in the United States. The fucked up people come from single mother households. So my thing is this: knowing that single mother households are not conducive to fruitful children in general, I think it's best to bite your tongue, stay with the man, and raise that child together, because infidelity is not that big a deal to end a marriage, in my opinion.
Well, you're not a woman.
But what if
I'm
not saying what if
no, I'm just saying like that's your opinion as a man.
Because it hurts.
No. I'm just saying that's your opinion as a man, and we have our different opinion as women, because naturally we're more mature than men as age goes.
I don't know where she got naturally they're more mature than men. This podcast would prove otherwise. Like, I'm still with Myron there. I know that staying with somebody after they've cheated is difficult, but if it's for the sake of the children, then I get where he's coming from, especially when we know that single parent households contribute to a large number of criminals, especially in America. So I'm with him there. Still with him. I'm not against what he's saying.
Breaking up the relationship makes you immature.
That's you, but scientifically, women are more mature than men. As
we're considered 2 years ahead.
Yeah, than the rest of the male population. And because of that, we have to look after our own, meaning our offsprings. And if our offsprings are our, main goal, to make sure that they do the best that they can, that they get the best that they can, we're going to do everything in our power to achieve that.
So let me ask you this.
If a man walks out when they cheat, what are we supposed to do?
He didn't walk out. You threw him out. And my thing is, I'm trying to say this. You're saying you're more mature.
So I'd rather sit down and let a man cheat on me?
Here's my thing. You're saying you're more mature, etc. If you know, statistically speaking, a two-parent household is going to be far more conducive to that child's success. You're telling me that you can't control your feelings, except the fact that, this sucks, but we're going to stay together because it's better for the kids. Okay. I think that's maturity.
Okay, now I just want you to take note of what he just said. I agree with what he's just saying. What he's just said.
I don't.
Even if you don't agree with it, just take note of what he's just said. That it exercises you're exercising maturity to be with somebody that is cheating on you for the sake of your children and for the sake of them not leading a life of degeneracy, statistically speaking, right? Just remember that he said that and pay attention to what he says next.
Okay.
Hold on. Breaking up with him is actually one of the most immature things you could do, because what are you doing? You're operating off of feeling versus what's optimal for the child. What's optimal for the child is you biting your tongue, staying with the man, understanding that your marriage is duty, not your feelings and being happy. And the two-parent household is what's most important.
So let me
Go
flip the
ahead.
question on you.
Sure.
If you were married and you had 3 kids, 4 kids,
Sure.
okay? And your woman were to cheat on you multiple times, you would stick it out, you would stay with her, you wouldn't care if she just
No, I would not, and I'll tell you why.
No, I'm gonna let him explain why. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll let him talk, and you let me know what he thinks. But I don't know how you talk your way out of this one personally. If it is about the children, even if we react differently to women cheating on us versus when we cheat on them, because as they say, men will cheat because of spur of the moment and women will cheat for emotional reasons. So generally speaking, I agree with that statement. Right or wrong, generally speaking, I agree with it. But the overarching point here that Myron has made that I agreed with is that you stick it out for the sake of the children. It's not about you anymore. It's not about your feelings. It's not because you're different. It's because there's other people in the house, and what happens in your marriage has nothing to do with the kids, right? That's where he was going with it.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, before the Myron dick riders start again, I think this Israeli girl is also a donut. She is mostly talking shit. But that was a fair question.
That was a fair question.
Yeah, because every single time I disagree with Myron, someone goes, stop simping, bro. I'm just like, that's not a comeback. If you've watched this channel for any number of videos, then you would know that that's not the case. Me and Sabi argue all the time about stuff. I can link you videos in the description if you really need to, where we're talking about male and female issues and we disagree completely. So stop simping, bro, is not a comeback, okay? And if you actually have something to say, something constructive, rather than Scandinavian/Norwegian men don't understand this problem. I don't know why they said that. We're not Scandinavian or Norwegian, and we don't live in those places. So make your point. Don't just say to me, I don't understand the issue, and then not explain the issue to me, okay? But I'm going to let Myron say his piece.
I already know what he's going to say.
What do you mean?
He's going to give that whole example of the reasons why people cheat. But then it just goes back to the original point of, okay, forget about your feelings, be mature and just ride it out.
For the children, right?
But it's just funny how when
the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's different.
Because I agree with him. Men and women are different. I agree with that sentiment. But Myron said the most important thing for a child is a 2-parent household. Okay? It's about the children. It ain't about us. But I'll let him cook. Let's let him cook a bit.
Okay.
Men and women are not the same. A woman cheating on a man is not the same as a man cheating on a woman. I can go have sex with 3 hookers and come back to my wife and love her. If you go have sex with 3 different dudes, you effectively don't love me anymore. That is the difference. Women have sex off emotion. Men have sex off of lust.
Scientifically proven. But as I keep saying before, that's your opinion.
No one pushed back on it.
No one pushed back. Now, even if what Myron is saying is true, his point was that a 2-parent household is what is important. So, even if she cheats on you, are you not supposed to be mature and suck it up and do it for the children?
You see what's happened here is he's distracted them with this new point he's made, and now they're going to start debating and discussing their opinions on that, when that's not really the overarching point that should be getting discussed.
It's called a bait and switch. That is why, although I watch this podcast, I'll hold my hands up. For as much as I rag on it, when they upload, I'm there, I watch. I enjoy it. It's entertaining, because I always sit there and wonder, what dummies did they find to come on here next? And I agree with you guys in the comment section. A lot of these girls are entitled. A lot of them are stupid. A lot of them are just there to plug their OnlyFans. A lot of them have nothing constructive to say. But I have to push back when I see nonsense. Like, it's not like we haven't defended Myron before. Myron has said things, like I've said in this episode as well, that are all true. But then when the script is flipped, there's excuses. Again, men and women are different. But if his point is about the future generations, our children, if a woman cheats on you, regardless of you being different, regardless of you going out and banging 3 hookers and still loving your wife, even if that's true, and I'm not saying it's not, if it's about the children, then shouldn't you stay there? If she's not throwing you out and you know she's cheated, by his logic, why are you not staying? I actually want somebody to tell me in the comment section, if it is about the children, what is the difference there? Because ultimately, no matter what happens there, the children lose out, right? If the woman kicks the guy out because he's been unfaithful, the children lose. If the woman's been unfaithful and the guy kicks her out because men and women are different, the children lose. So someone explain to me, rather than saying Norwegian men don't understand how the world works, because if you're going to type dumb comments like that, there's no point. Explain it to me. Explain this to me We can have a back and
Also,
forth.
what's wrong with Norwegian?
I don't know why
Where's this come from? That
I have no idea where that came from. I don't know if like Scandinavian men look like. Do I look like a Scandinavian?
I don't know, but regardless, even if you was or you wasn't, it's still a rude comment to make towards Scandinavian people.
I don't know if it was rude. Maybe they have been pussified. I have no idea. I have no idea why that guy made that comment. And amongst the other comments in there about ignorance and that, fine, maybe I am ignorant. But rather than just saying that I'm ignorant, explain it. Don't just use buzzwords, because then you're no different than these pink-haired feminists and these Ethan Klein people. Explain it. Explain this to me, because this makes no sense whatsoever.
That's a scientific fact.
That is
actually
an absolute fact that men are designed to spread their seed far and wide. We don't have the same emotional attachment to sex that women do.
Yeah,
Let me ask you a question.
actually-
Do you run around and have sex with random dudes?
I plead the fifth.
That's scary.
Yeah, I heard
Okay,
that.
that might be a reason why. Well, let me say this: women in general,
he's right.
okay, women in general have a very difficult time fucking a bunch of random dudes long term.
Can you see the conversation's moved now?
Yes.
They did not push back, and that's the problem with this podcast. People are watching this going, yeah, Myron's cooking, and sometimes he is. But in this instance, there was a pushback there. If it is
Well, there
about
was a chance and room for it, but no one done it.
Yeah, no one did it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to reference was that, like, Fresh is a donut. Fresh just echoes whatever Myron is saying. He literally ad-libs him. You know, like when you get those preachers in the church and they just ad-lib everything someone says. And then every now and then he'll make a snarky comment for no reason.
It is a fact. Like, it is. Better deductive problem solvers,
I've
more
met some
logically sound.
non-logical men.
Some.
That doesn't.
Most.
Just because
I've
you met some
more
illogical men.
not logical.
Yo, she met 2 men. Just because you met some illogical men does not change the fact that most men are more logically sound than most women.
I've met more men that are messed up in the head than women. I'm not gonna lie.
Once again, taking your personal experience and trying to extrapolate it out into the main general society.
I can only speak for myself. Like I said, this is my own reality.
Incredible.
Well, to be fair, I see cuts on her hand, so that's probably what's happening there too.
What?
I think that's not a topic of conversation that you need to bring online. I think that's
you're
really
trusting
much
men.
my
I can't really-
business.
can't really
Fresh
trust
is
you
getting
trusting men.
emotional. Relax, Fresh.
I'm just saying.
Chill, Fresh.
The point I'm trying to make.
This is when I go.
Well,
That was like a line cross right there.
Did I
feelings?
A line cross?
Did I hurt your feelings?
Feelings.
Your
Did I
feelings?
hurt your feelings?
What, you getting mad?
No,
guess
nobody's mad.
feelings.
I'm just saying that's not a topic of conversation. We're talking about certain
mean,
things that we
she
should
has
not
lines.
bring up.
Feelings.
I don't care. That's
Well, then, I mean, just take a deep breath.
That's too
Have
far.
a seat, and then we won't mention
That's
it.
not
Too far, yeah. Like that has nothing to do with
All right, well, I mean, she
anything.
can leave then.
fucking
Yeah,
Fresh.
We can leave.
You
You
getting mad?
can leave.
I'm leaving.
Just
bro.
leave.
That was
Stop
disrespect.
yelling now. What?
That's
She's
all right.
No
You can leave.
respect. I did not disrespect
Oh
nobody
my God,
here.
here we go.
You bring
I think
up
you've
my
made your
ass.
decision. You
Yeah,
can leave.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was
You can leave.
disrespectful.
We don't care anymore. It's
All
okay.
right, goodbye.
Just-
Go
just
cry.
please
I ain't disrespecting
take your
nobody.
phone. Oh, wow, you're still here.
Yeah, she's there.
Incredible. Just take your phone
Okay.
and leave. I mean, Fresh.
I'm just saying, choice of men isn't probably going to be the best. That's all.
What was that?
A choice of men won't be the best. That's all I'm saying.
That wasn't cool.
Oh, man.
Like, hey, man, again, this is what I mean. This is a perfect example. Men are more logically sound than women. Look at y'all right now, all in your feelings. This is wild.
Who?
I mean, this
Okay.
proves my point.
Do I really need to comment? I mean, how can you even defend something like that? Yeah, her choice in men probably won't be the best because she probably does have mental health issues. That's generally what happens when people cut themselves. But do you really need to point that out? Do you have no other intelligent way of basically telling her that what she was saying was, first of all, irrelevant, and second of all, not based in reality? She was being very subjective. But all that aside, was that necessary? Or did that seem a bit like bullying? And then on top of that, Myron can't even check him. They sit there giggling like toddlers. Like I said, Myron will get his flowers when he deserves them. He makes good points. And if you go through our catalog of videos, you will see us defending his points We've reacted to Fresh and Fit multiple times. But if you do some dumb shit, you make some hypocritical point, or you just pick on somebody because you've noticed something is off with them, then we're going to comment on it. So what if the other girls on the podcast cut their wrists and they're okay? They're probably messed up in their own ways as well. The fuck? Like, what is this? You can't... What I don't understand about people is that you can like someone and still point out that they've done something messed up or you disagree with something. The other day we reacted to that Destiny video. I like Destiny's content. I like watching Destiny's content. I enjoy watching FreshandFit, but if they do some dumb shit, I'm gonna comment on it. Some guy said in the comment section, "Why are you even reacting to it if you don't like it?" I mean, that's what reaction channels do. They react to pretty much everything. Aberrant Preach, H3H3. I mean, we don't like Ethan Klein at all, and we react to his content. I don't like the Young Turks. I react to their content. The Young Turks don't like Jordan Peterson. They react to his content. Matt Walsh doesn't like the trans community. He reacts to their content. That's just how it goes. Honestly, this is when you attack someone's messiah, then the rational train of thought goes out the window. I know. I think it's hard for people to really like sort of place us where we sit, because 1 minute we're insulting the pink-haired feminists, then we're insulting some psychopath that, you know, should watch what I say. But I'm not gonna ride for anyone. Not Andrew Tate, not Myron, not Jordan Peterson, not Ben Shapiro, not Matt Walsh, not The Rock, not anybody that I might like. If they say some dumb shit, I will call them out on it. It's not dick riding, it's not simping. Anyway, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good.
You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. I always enjoy your comments.